Guys, we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have special guest. We have Lindsey Fowkes. She is a top producing realtor in the Tampa market. Lindsey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We're so excited to hear about Tampa. We love Tampa. It's booming. We were just talking about it offline. Get us up to speed. Give us a quick minute or two on you, your background, and we'll take it from there.
No problem. All right. Well, Lindsey Fowkes moved to Tampa here in about 2003. So I like to say I'm from Tampa, but I'm from the north. Escaped that snow real quick. But got into real estate in 2007 when everybody was jumping ship. Didn't know better. Thought it was amazing that I could show so many vacant houses on the weekend. And kind of lived through the dark days to talk about it. Started a team in 2012 just because the business was booming and which was a great thing. And I was also trying to balance that work-life mom balance kind of thing. So started a team in 2012. We are the Fowkes Group, which is a top producing team in the whole entire US. Does about 50 million, 120 contracts about a year. And in January, started my own RE/MAX franchise. So kind of wearing all the different hats. Yeah, graduating as I go on this journey. And that's where I am right now.
All right. So the household is a housing industry household. Correct?
Yes. My husband owns a title company and now I own a real estate brokerage. So we're all in.
All right. So
that's exciting dinner
Lindsey
conversation right there.
Right.
Well, the title business is exciting, right, Tony, if you're watching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Lindsey is we use their title company for our refinance transactions, a couple of our purchase transactions. So he's in, there's two locations in Tampa for him, right?
He has
For his title company.
Yeah, a couple locations locally and then 7 across the state. So he does the whole state of Florida.
You guys are crazy busy.
Growing.
All right. So as you know, we're from the north as well. So we have a lot of eyeballs on our stuff from up there. Give us a little feel for where we're at right now, mid-September here, 2021. What's going on in the Tampa market that you want to tell us all about?
Well, that's the question on everybody's mind. So yes, it is definitely still crazy. Florida is definitely a destination. It's an affordable destination. If you're going to work from home, why wouldn't you want to work here? So we've definitely had a lot of the COVID effect in the past year. And it really did have a huge effect on us a couple months ago where they literally came in and took everything we have as far as supply. So obviously the supply and demand, it's definitely the seller's market. But I was telling Kurt, I feel like in the last month or so, the frenziness of it has kind of cooled off. So yes, it's still busy. Yes, we still have multiple offers. Yes, still sometimes over list, but not the 50 offers, $100,000 over list price. I feel like the frenziness of it has calmed down a little bit. And I feel like the inventory is starting to at least release, as it should traditionally in the fall.
Okay. Ken, you want to chime in on that?
Well, I think this can all be correlated back to the Tom Brady effect. Isn't that kind of when the switch got hit? So he gets credit for everything.
Effect too,
yeah, well, throw that in there. We're talking to our team a lot about sort of the life cycle of the buying process. I'm fascinated to hear. I know you've got people probably in all ends of the spectrum of where they're buying, first time, move up, all that stuff. But give us a feel for when you start talking to somebody and then they actually are in a position where they can buy that home. Do you have any feel for what that life cycle is for you?
Yeah. And to be honest, we've had to really kind of change the way that looks. I was telling Kurt again yesterday in a discussion, it's all about preparing these buyers. So no matter whether they're 55 plus or luxury or first time home buyers, it's all the preparation to know what to expect so that when they do find the house that they like and they say, well, what do I do now? They already know and they're prepared for it financially because it's all about the financial preparation. The days of sellers paying closing costs and 100% financing and being, that kind of thing is gone. So they really have to be prepared to not only pay list price or above list price, but have some financing or cash at hand to kind of alleviate some of the seller's costs, and that's sometimes we're in a whole nother mindset. So it's all about the preparation for these buyers, no matter what, area or arena they're looking in, they need to be prepared for it.
So great question, Ken. I'm curious a little bit further. So I'm embarking on this journey and I'm looking at homes online, and we get somebody over to Lindsey. Is that a multiple discussion per month, per week? Give us an idea of what they should know. We have a lot of first timers out there
Sure.
that are, it's not their comfort zone. Should I be talking to Lindsey once a week, once a month? Give us an idea of how that looks like with your team.
Yep. Well, everybody is different. So it really just depends on their situation. But I will say the initial phone call really kind of gives us a place to start and to put a plan together. So some people are ready. They've been saving, they've been watching. I mean, everybody who lives here and is on Zillow and Realtor.com and everybody else knows how fast they're going. They're all looking to be, especially the first time home buyers, within a certain price range. So these houses are off and they're on. So they see that, but they don't understand what it takes to get that. So after the initial phone call, which is the big one, we kind of talk about where you want to be, location, are you working from home? Once you get through that, then my whole conversation starts with, are you prepared to potentially pay over list price? And if they're kind of like, woo, then that kind of starts the next part of the conversation. And some of them, we end up putting a plan together that it may take them 6 months to save some more money, that's being part of the professional and being, the professional for them and setting them up for the best success is to say, no, you're not ready yet. Like, let's go ahead and, put you on a 6-month plan. Maybe you wait till your tax return comes in, because you got to be able to play the game. And right now, in order to be successful, you got to be prepared for that. So I do say that some of them are ready because they've been watching. But a lot of them were kind of on at least 6 months to give them enough time to prepare financially for supply to open up a little bit. Most of them, kind of go during school district changes and things like that. So 6-month plan, and I talk to them once a month. What's going on? Are you seeing? And if I always tell them, if you see something, because they always will, they'll send it to me and they'll say, oh, I found that house. That's the perfect house. Okay, well, are we ready? Probably not, but at least it keeps the communication going and keeps them on track.
Thank you. That's awesome information right there for our people watching, our folks watching. We get triggered a lot. Ken, we had the one this morning where their lease is coming up in October, November, December, January.
Tons of that.
Ken, how did we finish up with that customer? Did you hear any more feedback on that?
I did, Lindsey.
When they were coming due.
Yeah, Lindsey, it was super similar to what the conversation you said, which is, hey, now's not the right time. That was the realization as the conversation unfolded. And we've got some money to save and we've got some things to tidy up, and that period of time is going to far exceed that lease renewal. So the conclusion of that was, yes, renew. You've got some work to do to figure out if a month to month, a 6 or a 12-month renewal works best. We can help you with that, but go back, give more thought to this, and then let's see again, wrap that back up. Because what we find is there's a lot of conversations back to your being ready. When people say they're ready and then they actually have to I guess it's click the mouse to do your signature. Then it triggers another set of emotions of, I know you said I had to do this, but oh my God, am I really doing this right now? So, there is some conversation, then follow up once the emotions kind of settle down a little bit. You get more back to the fact-based maybe approach.
What I love about what we're talking about right here is Lindsey's having conversations with the buyer. Ken's having his conversations with the buyer, and then Lindsey and Ken have to come in and have their conversation together in order to assist that consumer to make sure that they're not making the wrong move, that they're not
100%.
getting in over their head. So,
and financing is huge right now. FHA and VA is having a really hard time. And we've got a lot of buyer burnout is what we're calling it, because, when they came into this a little bit before we were delivering this expectation as an industry, they were FHA and VA, and they're having a really hard time finding a house, getting their offers accepted, getting it through inspections, appraisals, everything else. So, if I can communicate with my lender and say, hey, what do we need to do to get them into a conventional product that's maybe a little bit more competitive and a little more attractive to a seller, that's all part of the plan.
That communication's huge, right? So from our side, the lending side, we want to express all the options that are available. We don't want to douse,
No.
because those are good loans. There just is a stigma right now that it's tough to get it through. And then to be able to communicate that back through to the real estate agents, so everybody's on the same page, instead of, your guy doesn't know what they're doing, or your realtor's trying to do something that's crazy. That communication's huge.
All right, let's touch on, you did a little bit, but a little more detail on the buyer pain points. We talked about the appraisal gaps a little bit, but explain it to everybody what appraisal gaps are and maybe what an escalation clause is, those two components.
We have to use you got to pull out all the tools right now. You got to pull out all the strategies to get it done. We've got escalation clauses that are basically, you offer a certain price, but if there's multiple offers, you'll go $500 over the highest offer and put a cap on it. That way you're not going full boat from the very beginning. You may end up somewhere in the middle, which is kind of nice. We've got appraisal gap coverage. So if you know that we're going to be close because there's multiple offers, buyers are offering 5, 10. I had one the other day that did 50,000. So it really just depends on the price point, obviously. But that's basically to cover if for some reason the house does not appraise, you're willing to cover, $5,000 or $10,000 of that difference in order to make it happen. And that gives the seller a reassurance that they're not going to take this house off the market for this high price and then maybe end up being, which is what we're seeing a lot of. And we're using a lot of other strategies too. Yeah.
Well, when they implode or explode, depending on who's looking at it, this goes back to the communication between the real estate agent and the lender. Like if I refer somebody to Lindsey, I don't have to worry about that, nor does my consumer. But the average consumer who's out there, how do they find a Lindsey? How do they know what to look for so this thing doesn't explode on them?
Right. Well, honestly, you need to find out who's been really active and successful closing houses in the last 6 months. So you can be out there, they can be pumping themselves up on social media, but at the end of the day is how many closings have you done in this challenging market? And especially on the buy side, that's really where we're seeing the major competition. And especially with first-time home buyers, that's the challenge. And so who is it that's getting a house for a first-time home buyer in this last 6 months is really going to be a big deal.
So social media posts aren't necessarily the greatest, right?
May not be real life.
Okay. So as they're doing their interview of the agent, you're watching body language, you're watching eye movement. Hopefully you're doing it on a Zoom call like this, so you can get a feel for what that person is giving off per se, or vibing, I guess. Awesome. So right now for you, I'm gonna ask you a question just right off the gut. You don't know this question's coming, but cash buyers for you and your team. Give me a percentage wise of what you're feeling.
So that was part of the frenziness. So I will say, at the beginning of summer, it was a bulk of cash buyer. So very much Northeast, Midwest, had a lot of Texas, especially the people from New York and New Jersey, escaping what I hear, because I'm not sure, but taxes and those kinds of things. So a lot of the Northeast, besides the weather, are now, migrating for other reasons, and their money goes farther. So we don't have income tax, there's all these other things. So, now I can work from home. Now let's go ahead and buy something down here. They were paying way higher than list because it's still cheaper in their minds than where they were. So their money's still going farther. And so that was part of the frenzy, is they were coming in and they were comparing it to other areas and saying, well, go ahead and offer this because, if I bought that house in New York, it would be triple the price. So there was a lot of that at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the summer. I would say now it's much more financing. I see, a
Okay.
lot less cash. So the financing now has, I mean, I do see a little bit, but I would say probably only 15% now, where it was more like 50 to 60 at the beginning of the summer.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Do you think that most of those that could have, meaning the cash component,
Right.
you think that's safe to say
I
that
got
those,
you. Is that in the
those
rearview
are-
mirror or still a
yeah,
possibility?
correct. Do you think we'll see another surge of the cash?
It
Or
really just
no?
depends on the markets. I think that's when the cash moves. Or if we have something else that happens with pandemic and that kind of stuff. I mean, that was really the surge. I had never seen that much cash in the market in our market until something like that happened. So I don't know. I don't think it's cyclical. I think it was just really everybody didn't know what to do and didn't know what to expect and didn't know what was coming next. So they figured that this would be a good move. And if it happens again, I would say it's more likely to happen towards the beginning of the summertime, traditionally anyway.
Okay. So normal spring market 2022, do we think it will be normal?
I hope so.
Okay.
I would love to
No.
see more inventory. I mean, we're all very busy, but it's not as much of a fun busy anymore right now. It's all consuming, which is fine. And we've been really successful at figuring out ways to make it work. But to have more supply would be amazing. We have so many buyers and just not enough sellers, and that's really what the challenge is. It's not that they're not qualified buyers. It's not that we don't have enough buyers. It's that we just don't have the properties to sell. So I'm hoping, because traditionally, obviously, spring is more of an inventory heavy time, that becomes the case. So.
All right, guys, Lindsey is a badass realtor in the Tampa market. I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap up. Give these folks an idea of what somebody like you who's running a team, a high production team, what kind of hours are you putting in per week? What's that look like?
That's a lot. Wearing a lot of hats right now.
Are you 50, 60, 70 hours a week right now?
Yes, probably. But I can see the light. So I'm making structure happen so that I can start to live more of a structured life again. But I was trying to live the owner life, and I'm still selling. So I'm still helping my clients after 5 all weekend long, and then 9 to 5 all day long. So we're figuring all that out, but it's all good. I'm going to ride the wave while it's good. So
the smile says you're dealing with the burnout. You're mitigating the burnout a little bit. So good job.
Yeah, we're getting used to doing that. We pick each other up. So,
hey, I have one question before we let you go. This is my favorite, just trying to get a barometer, but of these properties that are going over list price, is there a percentage over list price that kind of jumps out at you that is sort of a baseline?
It really just depends on how much competition, you know what I mean? So at this point, we just let our buyers know, look, it's probably going to have multiple offers. This is how it's going to work, So I would say it will go, there's not really a percentage. It's more like a dollar volume. And I guess that's probably just normal, $10,000 to $15,000 on a normal 350, and I'm going to prepare my people to put a $10,000 to $15,000 appraisal waiver on there. You know what I mean? So that's, in that price point, in that first time home buyer price point, that's something to be, that's pretty common.
That totally answered my question. So we're 3 to 5% on both sides.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that was helpful.
Yeah,
thank you.
Keep it nice and simple is what you're trying to do for both sides, right?
For both sides. So they really know if it doesn't appraise, what's going to happen and how much am I going to bring to the table? Because that's always their question.
Yes, guys, believe it or not, there's still stuff 350 to 400, right? In Tampa market.
Yeah. Inventory is coming out more. So, last month we were just like banging our heads against the wall, but I am seeing a lot more open up. There's a lot more at the beach market that's opening up. So we're heading into snowbird season. So I'm thinking that will probably be the next hot point, but yeah, so there's definitely some inventory opening up before the end of the year.
All right, guys, if you have questions for Lindsey, you can tap on her and get right to her profile and send her a Facebook message. Thank you so much for joining us and all the awesome knowledge.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well done.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.